All right, guys, this is Kat. I am going to share with you a little bit about getting started with iMovie and also how to reverse your videos for your left-handed students. So what I'm using is the built-in iMovie software that comes with Macs. It can also be purchased if you don't have copies of it from the App Store. It's also available in a scaled down version for iPads and iPhones. So you can do some basic editing with those. Plus, it's really nice because the video is built in. You can take pictures, you can create videos, and then edit them directly on those devices. So this version is the one that's on the computer. It's probably a little bit more full featured, has more transitions and things like that. So let's get started. The first step is we need to actually create a movie. This in the past was called a project. So you can go to the file menu and choose new movie, or there's a button down here called create. So if you click on the create button, you'll have the choice of making a movie or a trailer. Trailers are just very short kind of movie trailers, not anything useful for you. But if you click on movie, it'll allow you to start creating a movie. Now there's a lot of different themes which are nice, and I'm not going to press play on this, but if you press the play button, you'll get a preview of what this style looks like. And so the nice thing about themes is they have titles on them, they have places to drop your video into placeholders, and it's pretty cool, makes a really nice looking video. For what we're doing though, we're going to use no theme, and we're going to have very basic titles and things like that. So go ahead and click on this and then click the create button. We need to give it a title, so I'm going to call this one Splitting a Mold. I'll call it left-handed, and then click OK. Your interface changes a little bit, but now what you'll see is you'll see a project up here or a movie. There's a place for clips, and then there's some options down here for your content library, so transitions and titles and things like that. So the first thing I need to do is I need to bring some video in. And I have this video clip that I grabbed off my iPhone. So I took it with my iPhone, emailed it to myself, and then saved it out to my desktop. So the easiest thing you can do is you can click and drag this into the timeline and then release the mouse button. And so you'll have this video here in the timeline now. You can also go to the File menu and then choose Import Media is another way to get that in. But I'm a drag and drop kind of girl, so that works really well. Now I've got this video clip, and if I hover and move my cursor over the clip, you'll see that that's the playhead. That shows me where I am in the video clip. And so I can see what it looks like. If I needed to trim this slightly, I could hover over an end, click, and then drag. So if I had a little bit of garbage here in the beginning, I could clean that up or delete something here at the end. And so that's basically trimming your video. Just basically click and drag. I'm going to get this one back. You can actually click and drag to reset it back to the original. All right. This one also has a soundtrack that I'm not going to use. It's got some noise in here. So I could hover over this blue soundtrack at the bottom, hover over this horizontal line, click, and then move that down. Another thing I could also do is to right click and detach the audio. Click on it and then delete. So I've removed the soundtrack on this, and I might put a voiceover, a cleaner voiceover, or some music. I'll tell you about music here in just a minute. Right? So the next step I want to do is I want to add a title, especially if you're making something where you're teaching somebody something. They need to know what it is you're teaching them, and you might want to put your name on there. So if I look over here and see some of these titles, I'm going to grab this one right here. Click and drag this over here to the very beginning. So I can start typing. I can put Kat Kramer's Lefty series. Oh, and that doesn't really look all that good, so we'll just call it Kat's Lefty series. And then I can click down here and say Splitting a Mold. All right, that looks good. So if I come down here to the window again, I can click and drag on my playhead and see how that looks. Oh, and the mold is not good. So if I wanted to change that, I could go over here. It might not just be the right size, or we could change the size up here. Let's see if we can change that to 140 and then play again. There it is. All right, so that looks pretty professional. Now you'll notice if I move my cursor here my playhead back, you can see the transition. It just cuts to the video. Maybe I want to put a nice transition in here. So if I click down here in the content library on transitions, you'll see that I have some choices of some transitions. If you hover and move your cursor left to right, you can see a preview of what it's going to look like. I'm going to use a cross dissolve. You'll notice that when you do that, notice how the title gets a little bit shorter. That actually represents the overlap of the first title and the video. So that's how it does the blending. But move your playhead over and then watch the transition. Very clean. Now, a word of advice on this, if you're trying to do a professional video, it's generally considered that all of these crazy transitions are not professional. So if you stick to a cross dissolve and then just a cut, those are generally considered to be the most professional. You know, if you're just playing around or doing something for the family, you could use something like a paper turn, something like that. Let's try that. Oh, that didn't quite work like I wanted it. Yep, didn't even work like I wanted it. So I'm going to grab the cross dissolve and replace it. I just kind of drag it over the transition. Well, let's try it again. There it is. All right, so there we've added a title, a transition, and our video. But let's add one more thing. Let's add a title that is over the video. So let's say maybe I've got something down here at the bottom. I'm going to click and drag this and put it over the video like that. And then I can say this is the Castaldo Ice RTV mold making. Okay, and then I could move my playhead again, hit the space bar. And so you'll see that I can put a title down there at the bottom. So all I did that was different here is I dragged the title down on top. And if I wanted to change that, maybe it's a little hard to see, I might be able to grab another one and replace it. So see when it turns and highlights like that. Now you can see that I actually have a different style. So you can just switch these out however you want. Anyway, so that's how you can add a title over it. Now let's do one more thing. We promised that we were going to be doing this as a left-handed video. So to do that, I need to actually use these icons at the top. There's one for enhance, and I am going to do that. I'll show you. If I click enhance, it actually color corrects this probably pretty close to what you need. So I did that. But then the second thing I need to do is to click the adjust button. I need to have this video selected, click adjust. You can then hover over these icons, but the second to the last one is video and audio effects. So if you click on that, you can choose a video effect, and notice my hands are on the left-hand side, but when I come over here, I can flip it. So I can choose the flipped one. If I click on that, now my hands are on the right-hand side. So now I flip the video for a left-handed user or a right-handed user. Okay? Now there's one other thing I'm going to tell you about that's something to be careful of. Some of you guys may have iTunes installed and you've got some audio. So if I say, hey, I want to drag an audio clip down here and make that my background music, I can click and move it over and maybe adjust the level a little bit, take that down so it's background music. But when I play this and I'm like, hey, this is great, I've got, aha on my video. If you upload that video to YouTube, YouTube is going to ban your video because you're not paying a license for that music. YouTube does have some music that you can use, but whatever you do, don't add music just off your computer because it's going to be rejected. So don't do that. All right, so speaking of YouTube, let's do one last thing. Let's upload. So we're going to go to the File menu and choose Share. And you can choose Vimeo, which some people use, or you can use YouTube. And it brings up this little window. It has a preview of my movie. It has my login, so I've already logged into YouTube with my account. I can give a good description, and a lot of things with YouTube, when you put a good title or a good description in there, it's going to be easier found by people who are looking for the information. So, you might put a more descriptive video in here. This is about, this video shows how to split an RTV mold for jewelry making. Anyway, but give it some good information there. It can be pretty long. As far as tags, I'm going to use, let's see, this will be an iMovie tutorial, jewelry making. You could put jewelry, you could put mold making. You can put a different size. So in this case, it's 1280 by 420. I'm sorry, 1280 by 720. The category, you can choose different categories. And then privacy, if this is something that you were doing for, let's say, a student individually, and you weren't going to share it with the world, you could put it private. You have to actually share it with a particular email address. Unlisted makes it so people can't find it, but you can also send them a link to the video and they can view it. So it's not something that's searchable. Public is going to be if you want it available to the world. The other thing that's important about that is within YouTube, you can monetize your videos. So if you want to earn money, you can allow them to show ads before your video, and you can actually start making money off your videos. That's going to be a privacy of public. All right, once you're done, click Next. You have to agree to their terms of service and click Publish. All right, and once that's done, you are done with your video. So if you have any questions, just send me a note and I will try and answer them.